Today, we're tackling Timothy Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek.
That's right.
Our listener, the learner, is looking to extract some real, actionable wisdom from this one. You know, those aha moments that can spark change, but without feeling, well, totally overwhelmed.
Exactly. And we've really dug into the book itself, excerpts, key sections. We're looking straight at Ferriss's core arguments. Everything from how he shakes up traditional thinking right at the start through to the deal framework.
Definition, elimination, automation, liberation. Got it.
Yeah, and the sort of key ideas behind each of those steps.
So our mission here is to really break down Ferriss's approach, pinpoint the most impactful stuff, concepts, strategies, and explore how you, the learner, might, weave these into your own life.
We want it to be engaging, definitely thought-provoking, maybe even a little surprising.
Okay, let's dive in then. Ferriss kicks things off by questioning some really basic assumptions we have about work and life. He introduces this idea of the new rich. What's the core difference there compared to, say, the old way of thinking?
Well, what's really interesting is how it completely flips the priorities. The traditional path is all about deferred gratification, put in the years, save up.
And then enjoy life in retirement. Eventually.
Exactly. But the new rich, or NR as he calls them, they see time and mobility as the real currencies, not just dollars.
Oh.
Their focus is on actually designing a rich, fulfilling lifestyle right now, using that time, that mobility, to live life on their own terms in the present.
So it's about ditching that someday idea for today. He really hammers this point that life doesn't have to be so damn hard.
He does.
Feels like he's saying we've all just sort of bought into this unnecessarily tough way of living.
Precisely. He challenges these really deep-seated beliefs about, the necessity of the grind. Is the 9 to 5 really the only way?
Right.
And one of his big ideas for breaking out of that is the mini retirement. What do you find compelling about that concept?
For me, it's like it de-risks the whole enjoy life later thing.
Right.
Instead of this massive gamble waiting decades, you get these tastes of freedom now, these shorter breaks, these mini retirements. It's a way to actually test drive your passions, experience that fulfillment without needing some huge leap.
Yeah, without the all or nothing pressure of traditional retirement.
Exactly. He even quotes Mark Twain, doesn't he? Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect.
That quote is so key. It really highlights that need to step back, question the norms, don't just accept them.
Yeah.
And then Oscar Wilde adds, anyone who lives within their means suffers from a lack of imagination.
Oh, right.
Taken together, those quotes really set the stage for the mindset Ferriss wants us to adopt. Challenge assumptions, think bigger, don't let conventional limits box you in.
Which leads us nicely into his first rule, definition.
Rule #1, definition, setting unreasonable goals.
Okay, so this isn't just like vaguely wishing for more cash, right? It's about getting super specific and, like you said, almost audacious.
Absolutely. Ferriss argues that having crystal clear, and this is crucial, exciting goals, is essential. And they need to go way beyond just money.
So like what? Travel? Learning skills?
Yeah, exactly. Deeply desired experiences, skills you want to master, maybe specific ways you want to contribute something. And he introduces this really practical technique called dreamlining. How does that actually work?
Dreamlining.
Okay.
It's about taking those fuzzy dreams and making them, well, real, tangible. You actually define them maybe as trekking in Nepal or becoming fluent in Italian or whatever. Then you meticulously figure out what each dream would cost.
On a specific timeline, right? Like 3-6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A near-term timeline. And this forces you to look at the real numbers. It helps you calculate your target monthly income TMI.
So it's the actual figure needed for that lifestyle, not just some abstract rich number.
Precisely. It grounds it.
And then the really critical next step is breaking those big goals down into immediate, actionable first steps. He's really big on taking action right away.
Yeah, that first step, however small. What's the impact of that? Psychologically.
It's like flipping a switch, isn't it? That first tiny action, maybe it's just doing a quick Google search for flights or signing up for a free trial lesson. It creates momentum.
Right. It starts chipping away at that feeling of being stuck.
Exactly. And this is where it gets kind of counterintuitive. Ferriss actually argues that unreasonable, unrealistic goals can sometimes be easier to achieve.
Easier. How does that work?
Well, the logic, it's surprising, but it makes sense. He suggests that truly huge goals often have way less competition.
Because most people just dismiss them as impossible.
Right out of the gate, yeah. Plus, chasing those massive goals forces you to think differently, more creatively. You have to find new paths because the usual ones won't work.
because everyone else is fighting over the smaller, more realistic things.
Oh.
Okay, so we've defined these big, exciting, maybe slightly crazy goals. What's next in the deal framework?
That brings us straight to rule #2, elimination.
Elimination. Okay.
This is where he brings in two really powerful tools for boosting productivity and, crucially, freeing up time. The 80-20 principle and Parkinson's law.
Let's start with 80-20, the Pareto principle.
Right. The idea that roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort.
Or maybe 80% of your problems come from 20% of your customers, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And Ferriss says, apply this ruthlessly, everywhere. In business, he talks about how a tiny fraction of customers often bring in most of the profit.
He found that himself, right,
Yeah.
with his wholesale accounts.
Yeah, he realized just a handful were generating almost all his revenue. So the message is laser focus on that vital 20% that actually moves the needle.
And cut out the rest.
And aggressively eliminate the time-wasting stuff, the unproductive 80%. It's about strategically amplifying what works.
Stop pouring energy into things that just aren't paying off. Makes sense. Okay, then Parkinson's law. What's the core idea there?
Parkinson's law, simply put, work expands to fill the time you give it.
Yes, I know this one well.
We all do. Ferriss uses this to argue for using deadlines strategically. How can setting shorter, tighter deadlines actually make us more productive?
Well, it creates urgency, right? Intense focus. If you give yourself a whole week for something that could be done in a day.
It'll take the week. Guaranteed.
But a tight deadline forces you to prioritize, cut the fluff, just do the essentials.
Exactly. He even suggests tools like rescue time to track where your time actually goes, to spot those busy but not productive tasks.
The ones we invent to avoid the important stuff.
Precisely. And he's really strong on avoiding multitasking.
Yeah, that's a myth, isn't it? That it makes you more efficient.
Total myth. He stresses single tasking, full attention on one thing, better results, and just being honest with yourself. Am I inventing work right now?
That kind of mindfulness about time sets up the next rule nicely, I suppose.
Hey.
Automation.
All right. Rule #3, automation. Outsourcing and systemization. This is where we really start leveraging external help and building systems to get our time back.
And he jumps right into limiting information intake. That seems like an odd place to start for automation.
It seems odd, but his point is that constant info bombardment, especially news, is a massive time sink with little real benefit.
The distraction.
Huge distraction. He even suggests a media fast. Just unplug for a bit, see that the world doesn't end.
Right. Break the habit.
It frees up so much mental energy for focused work. And he also encourages non-finishing.
Non-finishing, like just stopping things.
Yeah, stopping tasks or projects that are boring or unproductive. If it's not adding value or joy, why keep pouring time into it?
That's hard for some people, the need to complete things.
It is a hurdle, but the logic is sound. Then he gets practical about minimizing interruptions, especially email.
Email.
The black hole.
Totally. He suggests turning off notifications.
Deficit.
Checking it only at set times like noon and 4 p.m.
That takes discipline.
It does. And using autoresponders to manage expectations. Train people, subtly, not to expect instant replies.
So you can actually get focused work done before checking email. That's the key. And he has specific tips for writing emails too, like the if-then structure.
Oh yeah, the if so, do this, if not, do that approach. Cuts down on the back and forth.
Exactly. Anticipates the follow-up questions, saves everyone time. He also tackles meetings, of course.
The bane of corporate existence.
Oh, often, yeah. He advises being assertive, politely, about declining meetings without a clear agenda or where you're not really needed.
Good advice. And batching tasks.
Grouping similar tasks together, like making all your calls at once or processing all invoices. More efficient than switching context all the time.
Okay, but the real heavy lifting in automation comes from delegation and outsourcing.
Right. That's where it gets really powerful. Bringing in virtual assistants or VAs, empowering others, creating clear rules so you're not the bottleneck.
And using tech. Scanners, call screening.
Those tools help for sure, but the core idea is leveraging other people's time for tasks that aren't the best use of your time.
He mentions specific VA companies, in India, for example.
Yeah, Brickwork, Your Man in India. He gives concrete examples, and he lays out some rules for good delegation. What stands out for you there?
Two things. Mainly, one, the task needs to be time-consuming. Don't delegate tiny things.
Right.
And two, it needs to be well-defined. Clear instructions are key. Oh, and he encourages playing with it using the freed up time for something fun or exploratory.
And the range of tasks you can outsource is pretty broad, isn't it? Market research, web stuff, even personal errands.
Yeah. He also tackles the fear people have about security, like confidential info. He basically says it's rare for VAs to misuse info.
Statistically very low risk, yeah. So this whole automation process, it's all driving towards building what he calls a muse. Can you unpack that?
The muse, yeah. It's basically a business designed from the ground up to generate income mostly automatically.
Minimal ongoing effort from you.
Exactly. He uses ProSoundEffects.com as an example with dropshipping. The goal is income not tied directly to your hours worked.
And he gives criteria for a good Muse product?
Right.
Price range, markup?
Yeah, like a $5,200 price point, big markup, 8-10x, fairly quick manufacturing time if it's physical. Ideally, information products, ebooks, courses.
Easier to automate. And he talks about building perceived expertise.
Right. Join trade groups, give free talks, write articles, position yourself as knowledgeable, even using things like ProfNet for PR.
And crucially, testing the idea before investing heavily. Using something like Google AdWords to check demand.
Smart. Low risk. The whole point is building this self-running business architecture so you can gradually step back. And strong guarantees are part of that.
The lose-win guarantees make the offer so good with so little risk to the customer.
That it's almost a no-brainer to buy.
Okay.
Defined, eliminated, automated. What's the final piece of deal?
The grand finale. Rule #4. Liberation. Escaping the office.
Ah, the dream for many. Location independence.
Exactly, freeing yourself from the physical desk. And he starts with negotiating remote work with your current boss. That seems daunting.
It can be. His advice focuses on framing it as a win for the company.
Like increased productivity.
Yeah, focusing on results. Proposing a trial period is smart too. Show, don't just tell. It's about persuasion, focusing on outcomes.
He also tackles the fear of quitting, right? Reminds people it's usually not permanent. Performance matters most.
Which brings us back to mini retirements. But now with the freedom to go anywhere.
And those trips become much more affordable if you can live somewhere with a lower cost of living.
Right. He gives practical tips for that, cheap flights, tools like VPNs, Skype, language learning resources.
Even managing finances remotely, power of attorney, international banking stuff. But it's not all logistics, is it? He talks about the psychological side, too.
That's crucial. Suddenly having all this freedom, it could be weird, disorienting.
Yeah, boredom can actually be a problem. Lack of structure. You need new goals, a sense of purpose.
And he highlights service, right. Doing something for others as a way to find meaning.
Absolutely. Contributing beyond yourself. He also warns about common mistakes people make when they achieve this lifestyle.
Like what? Working just for the sake of it. Micromanaging VAs.
Exactly. Holding on to tasks you should delegate. Which leads to his not-to-do list.
Things to actively stop doing, like attending all meetings, checking email constantly.
Trying to please everyone, all counterproductive habits. He even suggests outsourcing your inbox with clear rules for a VA.
Wow. And he peppers the book with examples of real people living this way, right?
Yeah, lots of case studies showing it's possible in different fields.
So for you, the learner, listening to this, this deep dive really shows the 4-hour work week as a blueprint. It's about redesigning life around time and freedom, not just money.
Right. Define your ideal life, cut out the waste, automate your income, negotiate your liberation. It sounds simple, but it's a powerful framework. Achieve more by doing less, essentially.
And what really comes through is the emphasis on experimentation. It's not rigid.
No, it's a set of principles to test, adapt, make your own. It really challenges conventional wisdom and pushes you to take action now, even small steps.
I always remember that anecdote about the kickboxer with the ugly style who won the championship.
Yeah. It's a great example. Effectiveness over convention.
Yeah.
Or Dick Fosbury in the high jump flop.
Totally changed the sport. Unconventional, but way better results.
It underlines that core message. Question the standard way. Don't be afraid to be different if it works better for you.
And these principles, you can apply them right away, can't you? Start small.
Definitely. Pick one area. Where does the 80-20 rule apply in your life or work? Start there. Experiment. See what happens.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on, the learner. If that traditional path, work for decades, hope for retirement feels a bit shaky or uninspiring. What's one small experiment you could try, like this week, to reclaim a bit more time, to start designing a life you don't actually want to escape from?
Think about one unreasonable goal you've got tucked away. What's the absolute first tiny step you could take towards it? Just brainstorm it.
It really boils down to shifting your mindset, doesn't it? From time scarcity to opportunity. intentionally deciding how to use your time.
Your most valuable resource. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. We hope it's given you some valuable insights, maybe some actionable ideas.
Hope so, too.
Until our next exploration.